From TAGTV, welcome to Panorama. I'm your hostess, Gada Hamadani. Within less than 6 months, Canadians will have their say, either to keep or say goodbye to the current Liberal government. Today, my distinguished guest is a successful business owner, devoted member of multiple community boards, and a strong advocate for organ and tissues donations. He brings to the House of Commons years of expertise in Canadian and international business. I'd like to welcome the first Member of Parliament for the new riding of Edmonton Manning and the Shadow Minister of the International Development, MP Ziad Aboultaif. Welcome, Ziad.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me this morning.
Hi, thank you. You're from Lebanese background. What made you join the Conservative Party?
Well, Conservative Party speaks to, first of all, to my values, coming from the Middle East, from Lebanon, as well as the fiscal policy of the party speaks also to me. I'm Lebanese, we're business people, and we know that the Conservative Party is pro-small business. That's a direct endorsement and welcoming to the party, and as well as I'm from Alberta too, so I joined the party BC Alberta in 2001 and continued to enter to the federal party in 2006-07. Here we are.
Okay, it's like we're from immigrant communities, and some, it's like they think that conservatives are against minorities or against immigrants. So what's your comment on that?
It's funny, this identity politics started in 2015 against the party. To speak to the records, 2015, the party brought under Prime Minister Harper 295,000 immigrants, the highest. It's a record number. So this is false in many ways. The values of the Conservative Party speaks a lot to many ethnic communities and ethnic backgrounds in a way, and the party always have those varieties and the bigger tent to welcome everyone. Our vision for Canada, I believe every Canadian share with us. A lot of Canadians, I don't want to be too generic, but a lot of Canadians share with us the approach of building a better economy, better immigration system, of course, and bringing to Canada the talents. And economic immigration is very important too. So this is, our record speaks well. The politics against the party to say that anti-immigrants or anti-ethnics is false, and our leader Andrew Scheer rejected, we rejected, and I think we're here to build on a Canadian foundation for better Canada for everybody.
How do you read the economic situation under the current government?
The economic situation is quite concerning because first of all, our trade relations are going through a crisis right now, whether with the United States or with India or with China. Right now, the crisis, there's more than one crisis with China. The pork is the latest one. And we're going through that difficulty, which is very concerning because we are a G7 economy, and we base a lot of our economy on export. So we're finding that we are not as competitive, and as well as the diplomatic relationships with many countries across the world haven't been worse. So that is very concerning on a trade side, and we need to see that the government that pay more attention and make less mistakes. So that's why it's concerning.
Okay. We say when Alberta does poorly, the rest of the country is going to feel the impact. If Conservative wins the election in October, is there a plan to save the oil fields and keep everyone's working?
Well, of course, because what Alberta and Canadian economy needs is certainty and clear policies. What we've seen in the last 3.5 years, that there's a lot of flip-flops. between, put it this way, I mean, between economy and environment, okay? Between you build a pipeline, or you buy pipeline, or you don't buy pipeline, or you go to court, or you lose the court, or you try to do consultation. There's a lot of uncertainty. Business and investment community need certainty. What did not work for Alberta, what hurt Alberta in the last 3.5 years, the uncertainty that this government has shown on the oil and energy front. So that's why we lost billions of dollars have left Alberta, some south of the border to United States, some went outside. Even Justin Trudeau bought a pipeline and gave the $4.5 billion to a company to build pipelines outside Canada. He's given China $500 million to invest in projects outside Canada. So China is building pipelines outside Canada, and here we can't build a pipeline. So that all that is the blame is on the current government, because the uncertainty that has created around this whole sector, which is reflecting now negatively on Alberta. We have over 7% unemployment rate in Calgary, for example. That is unheard of, and that is hurting a lot. So we hope that with certainty, with clear policy, with clear directions, with good decision making and good leadership, we're going to improve that if we form government 2019. And now we have a conservative government provincially under Jason Kenney that also is going to reaffirm that certainty, so the business community comes back to invest, so we can create jobs.
Okay. In the last few years, many Canadians lost their jobs in manufacturing and are struggling to survive. Do Conservatives have plans to solve this issue?
Again, that's another challenge that we have to pay attention to, because first of all, we have to create a competitive environment for the business, which means we have to make sure the businesses, and in specific in the manufacturing sector, they do have the opportunity to run competitive business and product out of Canada. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that the taxation policy is able to give this sector all the reasons to survive and to remain competitive, so they can remain able to distribute and sell their products. Otherwise, the sector will be hurt, because if companies cannot make money, they can have to leave. Then we lose jobs, and we lose them forever. That's the scary part about it, because we have certain industries that well established in Canada that are about to leave, or some of them already left, because the business tax and the business environment, the taxation environment around businesses is not welcoming, and doesn't lead to competitive and profitable business. So what we can do is we have to come back with the proper policies to make sure that business run properly and job creation remain number one issue, and through also protecting small business job creators.
Are there other venues, to bring money to the governments rather than taxation?
Well, the governments that always depend on taxing people, that means is government that badly managed, because there's so many ways to create better economy and to enhance the economy, other than borrowing money, as we see for the last 3.5 years. I mean, just probably close to $80 billion this government is borrowing, and they're claiming that creating jobs. That's buying jobs. Governments have so many ways to bring together the best policies, as I said earlier, to make the business environment for investments reasonable enough, so capitals can come back this way, so jobs can be created, instead of always going back to the taxpayers and reach deeper in their pockets for more money, for more taxation, which is kind of tire the society. And we all know when people feel that they cannot be, they overtaxed, they cannot be tight on spending their dollar. If they see a comfortable economy going and good policies going, they have the tendency to spend, and when people spend money, the economy will enhance by itself. So this is the difference between the two the two policies or two approaches, and the one we like to see that we are fair in our taxation, and we run the economy from the basis of creating economy instead of borrowing money to do so. Usually you need to borrow money sometimes for once, maybe for 1 year or two, but to keep borrowing money and not even aim to balance the budget till years and years down the road, that is very dangerous path, and the future generations will not be very thankful about what any government in place that doing so, same as what this government is doing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Canada has the ability to compete in the world markets?
My understanding that our productivity level, our productivity rate in the country is not that healthy. Mm-hmm. We can compete in certain industries. We're definitely out there, especially the heavy industries. Certain specialties that Canada has been a leader in, yes, but that is not only the market you want, because if you lose those opportunities, that means what else do you have? So I'm very concerned about the productivity rate in the country. That's something we have to pay attention to, and we have to make sure we help and assist the job creators, the small businesses, the heavy industries, everyone to be competitive and to be productive at comparing to similar nations, for example, like Germany, like United States.
Mm-hmm. But the current Liberal government, they announced that they created 60% more full-time jobs than Tories. So
you know how dangerous the path when people start talking about percentages based on what those percentages. I mean, that's telling someone half a story. Okay. The full story is when someone can. I can, for example, say that I own half downtown Toronto. Okay, unless I can back it up.
Yes,
it doesn't belong to truth, and we know when it comes to statistics and numbers, anyone can play with the numbers, telling half story, and that is not fair. We need to look at the total overall economic situations. Is the country in good shape economically? No, it's not. Go to Alberta, go on the ground, talk to people, even in Toronto, check on how small business is down, how much, from the taxi driver to maybe to a restaurant, to anyone. When you ask people, they'll tell you business is down, taxes is high. So where's that 60% or something? And the question is, this government should tell Canadians how many government jobs have added in the last 3.5 years. And those are the areas that we need to look at, not just to make those claims about, well, we create 60% more jobs, 70% less, whatever the case. That's not fair. That's half a story. And when we see the full story, then we'll be telling people the truth, and we should.
So how do you evaluate Canada's bilateral relations with USA and now and then?
The relationship with the USA is not good relationship at this point of time. We went through the USMCA or the new NAFTA, the negotiation. I think we lost quite a bit on that front. The government's not talking about it, and we need to make sure that we bring this back into perspective, and we have to have a policy that really looks after Canada and Canada's future and Canada's best interest. So not only with the United States, our foreign relations in general are not that great. I mean, there's a lot of files that we need to work on. I go back to India, the largest democracy in the world. The relationship is not good. China, second largest economy in the world, after United States also is not good. So we have a lot of work ahead of us on foreign affairs and on foreign policy that we need to go back and fix.
And how long that fixing going to take in outside?
It takes leadership. We know that our leader, the leader of the official oppositions, Honorable Andrew Scheer, went to India right after the disaster trip of the Prime Minister Trudeau, and he went to Europe, talked to also visit United Kingdom, also talk about future possibility of trade agreement, free trade agreement of some kinds. We're trying from our perspective here to hold back some of the hold back on some of the mistakes that have been made, and try to be upfront with it and face it, so we don't have to spend another 4 or 5 years to fix relationships. Because what we need to do, we need to be able to move forward on a policy that is clear, that is firm, and that is also protect the best interests of Canada and Canadians across the world, and that clarity does not exist right now.
Recently, there are two dominating news, SNC-Lavalin and Mark Norman case. Would you like to comment on that?
Of course, I like to comment. SNC-Lavalin being in the market for the last 4 or 5 months has been very dominating, as well as now Mark Norman for the last few weeks, and actually been longer than that, but came to light more or less this week. Those are two great examples, and those are the red lines that no one from the political side should cross. This government have crossed those lines, trying to interfere in our justice system. One of the main pillars of our democratic system is the separation between the public system and the justice system. Ottawa, the political parties, the government should not have any kind of interference or influence, on the justice system, because this way we will be defeating all the purpose of being who we are, and our ability to maintain our justice system as an example for the world. So those two, if anything, Canadian needs to know why these have dominated, why SNC-Lavalin has dominated the news for the last few months, just because someone crossed the lines, and this government under Justin Trudeau have done that. So people, Canadian, are educated about it. Most Canadians, if not all, they've been hearing about it, and the bottom line is that any attempt to interfere with the justice system should not be allowed, is not allowed, is not who we are, is against our democracy and who Canada is. So that's why it's very important to keep awake and be aware that no one is allowed to cross those lines and interfere with our justice system, regardless who that person is.
Anything else you'd like to add today?
I like to, first of all, thank you for this wonderful time this afternoon in Toronto, and thanks for everything you do and your television does, as well as I like to call on all the communities, every Canadian out there who's hearing us and seeing us today, to participate, to make this country that we deserve, and deserve everything best from us, to make it a better place, because Canada deserves all the sacrifices, and none of us is more important than our country.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, and I really appreciate the time today.
Thank
and I'm
you.
glad I was able to be here with you today.
Thank you very much for, I know you have busy schedule, and thank you so much for giving us this time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And up until next time, have a good night.